Most people do not stay poor because of one giant mistake. They stay poor because of repeated financial errors that slowly drain progress, stability, and opportunity. That is what makes money mistakes so dangerous. They rarely look dramatic in the beginning. They often look normal. Small habits, bad defaults, emotional decisions, things people do every week without realizing the long-term cost. And over time, those patterns become a financial trap. Because poverty is not only about low income. Very often, it is also about weak financial behavior repeated long enough to keep someone stuck. That is why this video matters. Not to shame anyone, not to insult people who are struggling, and not to pretend life is always fair. Because it isn't. Some people start behind. Some people carry heavy burdens. Some people face pressure others never see. But even in hard situations, certain money mistakes make everything worse. And the people who eventually build stability usually learn to stop repeating them. So in this video, we are going to break down 7 money mistakes that keep people poor. Not because they look huge in the moment, but because repeated long enough, they can quietly destroy a person's future. Let's start with one of the most common mistakes of all. Mistake number 1. Spending to feel better. A lot of bad financial behavior is emotional. People spend because they feel stressed, because they feel tired, because they feel bored, because they want relief, because they want a reward, because they want to feel like they are doing well even when they are not. That kind of spending is expensive because it is not really about the object. It is about the feeling. And feelings pass quickly, but the financial damage often stays. People who stay poor often do not realize how much money disappears through emotional spending. Not because every purchase is huge, but because the pattern repeats. And repeated emotional spending becomes a leak in progress, a leak in savings, a leak in stability. That is why financial control often begins with emotional awareness. If you do not understand why you spend, you will keep spending against your own future. Mistake number 2. Trying to look rich before becoming stable. This trap destroys a lot of people. They buy the car too early, upgrade the lifestyle too early, wear the image too early, spend to look successful before building anything real underneath. That is dangerous, because looking rich and being financially strong are not the same thing. In many cases, they are opposites. Real wealth is often quiet in the beginning. It looks disciplined. It looks patient. It looks less flashy than people expect. But many people cannot tolerate that. They want the appearance now. And that desire creates years of financial pressure. Because image is expensive when income is not strong enough to support it. Mistake number 3. Not knowing where the money goes. This mistake sounds simple, but it is one of the biggest reasons people stay stuck. They guess. They assume. They hope things are fine, but they do not track. They do not measure. They do not really know how much is being wasted. And you cannot improve what you refuse to see clearly. People who build financial stability usually know their numbers, what they earn, what they spend, what they save, what is draining them. That clarity matters, because once you see the truth, you can start changing it. Without clarity, you stay trapped in vague financial stress. And vague stress rarely produces strong decisions. Mistake number 4. Depending on one income source, while doing nothing to change it. One income source can be enough for a while. But if that source is weak, unstable, or capped, and you do nothing to build another path, your financial life becomes fragile. That fragility creates fear. And fear often creates worse decisions. People who stay poor for too long often remain trapped in pure dependence. One job, one source, one monthly inflow. no plan, no side skill, no additional system, no leverage. That is dangerous in a changing world, because when your entire life depends on one channel, any disruption becomes much more painful. Financially stronger people often work toward multiple options, not all at once, but gradually. A second stream, a better skill, a system, an asset, something that gives them more room. That room matters, because financial freedom starts with reducing fragility. Mistake number 5, refusing to learn about money. Many people spend years working for money without spending real time learning how money works, how saving works, how investing works, how debt works, how taxes work, how assets work, how leverage works. That ignorance becomes expensive, because if you earn money without understanding money, you are more likely to waste it, mismanage it, or direct it poorly. People who stay poor often repeat inherited money habits without questioning them. They copy what they grew up around. They stay financially passive. They do not study. And then they wonder why nothing changes. But financial knowledge changes behavior, and behavior changes outcomes. That is why learning about money is not optional for someone who wants a different future. It is part of the path. Mistake number 6, choosing comfort over progress too often. Comfort is attractive. It feels safe. It feels familiar. It feels easy. But many people stay financially stuck because they protect comfort too aggressively. They do not learn the skill. Do not start the project. Do not change the environment. Do not try the side business. Do not study the new opportunity. Do not take the first hard step. Why? Because discomfort feels unpleasant now. But the price of constant comfort is often long-term limitation. People who improve their finances usually become more willing to tolerate temporary discomfort. Learning feels uncomfortable. Growth feels uncomfortable. Change feels uncomfortable. But avoiding all discomfort keeps people in the same place. And staying in the same place financially can become one of the most painful outcomes of all. Mistake number 7, thinking short-term all the time. This final mistake ties the others together. Poor financial thinking is often extremely short-term. What feels good today? What solves this week? What makes me feel better now? What helps me avoid pressure right now? That type of thinking creates repetitive financial traps, because a person who thinks only in the short term will often overspend, underbuild, underlearn, underprepare, and reset constantly. People who build stronger finances usually become more long-term in the way they think. They ask better questions. What does this choice do in a year? What does this habit create in 5 years? What happens if I keep repeating this? That shift is powerful, because long-term thinking protects people from short-term self-destruction. And once that thinking becomes normal, financial life begins to change. Now, when you step back and look at these 7 mistakes together, the pattern becomes clear. People do not usually stay poor because of one dramatic disaster alone. They stay poor because of repeated financial weakness, emotional spending, image-based living, no clarity, no extra income path, no financial education, too much comfort, too much short-term thinking. That is what keeps people stuck. And the opposite is also true. A stronger financial life is often built by removing repeated weakness. That is the encouraging part. Because if repeated mistakes can keep someone poor, repeated better decisions can slowly make someone stronger. That means change is possible. Not always instantly, not magically, but steadily. And steady improvement is often more powerful than dramatic intensity. So, if you want a better financial future, do not only ask how to make more money. Ask which money mistakes are still quietly draining your life, because sometimes the biggest breakthrough does not begin with earning more. It begins with finally stopping what has been making you weaker all along. If you want more videos on wealth, mindset, leverage, and financial freedom, like this video, subscribe, and turn on the bell. And in the comments, tell me which of these 7 money mistakes keeps the most people poor. Because sometimes the first step toward becoming richer is simply refusing to stay blind to what is keeping you stuck.